So today I'm joined by Chris White, Chief Delivery Officer at Fulfillment Crowd. Chris, today we're going to chat about some changes that are happening or expected to happen in the EU. So at a top level for brands that are shipping into Europe today, what's changing or expected to change in EU clearance process?
There's sort of a couple of bits we have to get our head around here, which are acronyms, and I apologise, acronyms, nobody ever likes those. Since Brexit, we've had to deal with the IOSS scheme, not to be confused with the OSS scheme, which works within Europe. That could be a conversation for an entirely different day. So IOSS effectively is a scheme by which low value consignments can be shipped into the EU, and under these regulations with the right setup, you can effectively trade as if Brexit had never happened. So the retailer can get stuff into Europe, the consumer is none the wiser. It's all been managed in the background. Everything's nice and straightforward. Unfortunately, the position on low value goods going into the EU is an ever-growing pot of orders that are going through there. And so, understandably, European governments want to look at how they can recover some of the taxation benefit of that. So they're slowly but surely tweaking and changing elements of IOSS at a country-specific level to agree how they own within their own countries. They can actually recognise the VAT revenue and also potentially some customs revenue for the shipments that are arriving from outside of the EU. There was an agreement that was made in the summer of 2025. We're now in the implementation phase. This will stretch, actually, if it goes the whole way through, quite a long way into 2028. So this isn't like a snap your fingers, it's all happening now, but some of the bigger countries have started to make changes. So we saw a change in the last couple of weeks with France. Big market, big clearance market. A lot of carriers clear through France to enter the EU. So it's going to have an impact on large proportions of the freight that are going from outside the EU, particularly for us, the UK, into European Union.
And you mentioned carriers there, they seem to be responding in different ways. What are you seeing emerge as the early signs in the market?
Yeah, so there's different models, I guess, and that really depends on the agreements that the carriers have with their final mile partners, whether they are a traditional postal provider or not, and also whether there's an opportunity that they had in their background in terms of the way they built their own networks ahead of this change. So there's predominantly a couple of different models. You're either clearing directly into the country of delivery. So for example here, UK directly to Italy, and you're clearing only within Italy. So therefore the jurisdiction that is controlling all of your inputs is the Italians. Or you're shipping to Italy, but maybe through another third-party country like France. So do you clear within France or do you clear within Italy? And there's slightly subtly different rules. So far, the French, the Romanians, and the Italians are the three countries that have done something, and they're all a little bit different. We've done a couple of posts in the past in terms of detailing the actual numbers and the way that they're laid out, but it's just that added complexity that you have to think not just about where I'm shipping to, but potentially the route you're taking to get to that destination as well.
So I think the main question on people's lips, if you work for a brand that is shipping into the EU, given this uncertainty, this
Yeah.
complexity, what do they need to know? What do they need to be doing now? And does it reinforce that case perhaps for local or regional fulfillment inside the EU?
So I think there's probably two elements to this. So your last point there about local fulfillment, I think that genuinely is a good opportunity, but there is obviously a tipping point there from a cost point of view. So if you're shipping relatively high volumes and you can stomach effectively the capital investment of getting a smaller center for your EU business set up, I do think that solves an awful lot of problems. I think it simplifies the experience for the consumer and also potentially simplifies it for the retailer as well. They're dealing with bulk clearance rather than order by order clearance. And all those also they're getting to a point where they can start to trade a little bit differently. Their marketing message can be a bit different, local fulfillment, for example. The other piece then in terms of if you're going to continue to operate cross-border, so UK into Europe, it's really trying to make sure that you're as up to date as you can be with the changing position from a legislation point of view, and also the changing application by country. So the big countries that we're waiting for here are the Benelux countries and Germany. What they're going to put forward in terms of their legislation changes. Are they going to look at things at a HS code level, at an order level? Are they going to look at it on the principle of as a block? Are they going to come up with something that is all tied together, or is each country going to come up with slightly different variations and rules? It's tricky. It really is tricky. So that's probably where historically the reticence of going into a local fulfillment may have been, well, it's not that big a benefit. I do think the needle is slowly shifting in the direction to say that local fulfillment is going to make people's lives more straightforward.